mommy film? Behave. Let mommy film. Okay. Life of a parent. So this is real life of a parent. Not no staged, aesthetically pleasing, whatever. This is real life. He woke up from a nap, super emotional. Doesn't want his milk, just wants to be coddled and loved. So this is what we're doing. To put on Gracie's corner for him to relax. It's crazy. But yeah, so hey guys. So today I'm going to be making my long-awaited, as I said in my first video ever on this channel, my pregnancy and labor and delivery story. So if you guys are new here, hi, my name is Mabel, and this little crybaby sweet angel baby boy right here is Amari. We call him Mars. And my Hubbington is Jamal, and he's gonna be in and out of videos. Mainly it's gonna be me and Amari with a splash of daddy. But yeah, so today's video I'm just gonna be speaking about a little bit about my pregnancy. I'm not gonna focus it entirely on my pregnancy. It's gonna be mainly my labor and delivery story, what it was like being pregnant during a pandemic and just experiencing pregnancy for the first time. So if you guys want to learn and hear about my story, pregnant with this little one, then just keep on watching. Jumping right into my pregnancy. So I got pregnant December of 2019. Obviously, we did not know that there was going to be a global pandemic. That was a shocker, and that was definitely not a way that I wanted to experience my first pregnancy. You know, like, I obviously didn't want to be pregnant during a pandemic. I wanted to be able to experience all the other things that every other pregnant woman, you know, pre-pandemic was able to experience. And although I'm not regretful, it's just sad when I think about like all the things that Jamal missed out on, that we couldn't really do together the way that we wanted per se. It's just made things a lot more difficult, made my pregnancy a lot more difficult. During my pregnancy, you know, I suffered severely from anemia, and I did not find out that I was severely anemic until 2 weeks before I gave birth to Amari. So that was very stressful because I really couldn't go anywhere to begin with. One, because we were in a pandemic, and two, when it was getting a little warmer outside and, you know, we were able to go outside with a mask and stuff, because I was pregnant also all throughout the summer of 2019. I couldn't go anywhere by myself because I would just pass out. I feel like it's a bit frustrating that my doctors were so neglectful with my anemia, because, you know, as many of you moms may know, or new moms who are pregnant, when you're pregnant, you're basically a lab rat. So every single appointment, you're either getting blood work done or some type of study done. They ask you questions, so you would think that when they ask you questions and you give them the answer, you know, I told them multiple times that I couldn't go anywhere by myself because I would pass out, and if the floor was the closest thing, then I would just throw myself on the floor, you know, because my vision would go out, my ears would ring super loud, I would overheat. It was really, really bad, and it was really scary. So for them to just dismiss it and tell me that I just needed to carry around a bottle of water because it was too hot outside, that, you know, they were blaming it on the weather outside. It was a bit frustrating because I knew that it was just more than the weather. Obviously, I know that the summer and the heat can play a part into you potentially passing out. I mean, regular people who aren't even pregnant pass out from like severe heat and stuff, but it was definitely not heat related. I know that for a fact. Maybe the heat played a little part in it, but it was definitely not strictly because it was so hot outside. Like, no. So that was a bit frustrating to find out 2 weeks before I gave birth that I was severely anemic, because, you know, like I said, throughout my whole pregnancy you're running all these tests and I'm telling you what's wrong and you guys are just neglecting it. So that was a bit annoying. And also, you know, I caught COVID while being pregnant before I could even feel Amari move, so that was scary. I lost my taste and my smell. You know, I had so many, I want to say this respectfully, but I had many family members who were passing away, and you know, my grandfather and I both contracted COVID, and it was scary. It was really scary. The shakes, the fevers, not being able to smell, not being able to taste anything, me not knowing if Amari was okay, because it was really early on in my pregnancy. So appointments at that point are every month versus every week when you get later into your pregnancy. It just wasn't a good time. It wasn't fun, obviously, for anybody, but you know, especially being pregnant, because you're so vulnerable. You want your baby to be okay. My grandfather, he was a lot worse than me, and it was just really overwhelming with all the things going on in my family, not knowing if my grandfather was going to be okay, not knowing if Amari was okay, and just, you know, everything going on in the world at that moment. I feel like us not being able to also have a proper gender reveal the way we wanted to have it, you know, it just sucked, because everybody has their experiences and I wanted to experience that. But you know, thankfully, hopefully when we have another baby within the next year or so, we'll be able to do everything that we wanted to do properly. Now, we did have a baby shower, which I want to thank my beautiful, amazing, gorgeous sister, Amari's godmother, for throwing me a baby shower. We had it at the park though. It's not what we wanted. We wanted it in a place, but you know, it was still for what was going on in the world, and for, you know, the situation and the circumstances, it was more than enough, and I'm super content with how everything came out. Our gender reveal was literally virtual. Like, Jamal wasn't even there. My mom purchased the cannons and I sent it to him, and with FaceTime, I didn't even tell my friends, I didn't tell anybody. It was just my mom, my stepfather, my grandparents, and then Jamal and his parents, and we just popped the cannon and recorded it and found out we were having a boy. So that wasn't ideal. I very much wish we would have been together for that moment, but again, given the situation and the circumstance and around the time that I was pregnant, you know, you just have to take what you can and just roll with it. So that's exactly what we did. But apart from me having those difficulties during my pregnancy and just being pregnant during such a chaotic time in the world, it was at the same time one of the best things to ever happen to you, like, you know, ever happened to me. The best parts was feeling Amari kick, and you know, just watching how amazing the female body is, how we're able to grow an extra organ, just to give nutrition to our children. Like, it's just crazy how fascinating our bodies are and how they transform. Like, I wasn't even that big, but just the fact that I've always been a skinny itty bitty thing my entire life, and then just to see me with this belly, I'm like, oh my god, like, you just stretch so much, and your ribs, you know, making room for the baby, and them kicking, and it's crazy. It's just an experience, you know, that obviously I would live again and again. Like, I would do it maximum 3 times, so 2 more times. I would have 2 more children. Despite how rough my first one was, I would still have 2 more children. It was just a beautiful experience at the same time. It was, you know, sometimes I do miss my bellies and I get phantom kicks from Amari, and I'm just like, wow, this is crazy. Like, your body is just amazing. That was a little bit about my pregnancy. I don't really want to focus that much on that in this video. If you guys want an in-depth video with, like, you guys have questions about stuff that I experienced, or maybe something that if you're pregnant or if you want to be pregnant and you're just afraid and no one talks about these things with you, like, leave it in the comments and I'll make a separate video strictly just about pregnancy. I'll be happy to make that video and upload it for you guys. But yeah, now, like, let's get into my labor and delivery. So the funny thing is, my due date was September 13th, which, if you guys don't know, my birthday is September 14th. So Amari was supposed to be here a day before my birthday. That was my due date. Amari actually made his grand entrance a week early. Amari was actually born September 6th of 2020. He came exactly 1 week before his due date. And he was born at 5:12 in the morning. Now, labor, yeah, labor for me went a bit quick. I feel grateful for that because I hear that a lot of moms are in labor, like first-time moms are in labor for like 24 to 30 something hours. Luckily, I was only in labor for 19 hours, and for more than half of those 19 hours, I had no idea that I was in labor. I thought I was experiencing what they call Braxton Hicks, which, if you're a mom or if you're pregnant, then you are familiar with what Braxton Hicks are. But for those who aren't, Braxton Hicks are basically practice contractions that you get about a month before you go to give birth, and it's just a way of your body preparing you for labor. So the whole 5th of September, I thought that I was experiencing severe Braxton Hicks, because in my mind, I'm like, there's no way that Amari is coming before his due date, which, that's so dumb of me, because they literally tell you they can come anywhere 2 weeks to 2 weeks before to 2 weeks after your due date. So I didn't take that into account. I think I was just in denial because I was petrified of giving birth, as probably a lot of people are. Throughout my whole pregnancy, I was just, that's all I could think about was, oh my god, I gotta push this baby out of my hoo-ha. My worst fear, which, you know, I'm gonna let you guys know, my worst fear actually came true. I'll let you guys know a little bit later in the video, but yeah, crazy how I was in labor for all that time and I had no idea. So my labor actually started September 5th at 11 a.m. and I had severe pains. So a lot of people like to compare labor pains to menstrual cramps, but more intense. I do not like to categorize labor pains to menstrual cramps but more intense, because there is no possible way to actually describe labor pains. There is not. It feels like cramps, but it's way more. It goes from feeling like cramps to just straight pain and unbearable pain, especially if you have to go through labor the way I did, which was not by choice, but I'm glad that I did go that route, and I will go that route for my future children as well. But I will explain that in a little bit as well. I don't like describing labor pains as that, but my labor actually started September 5th around 11 a.m. That's when I actually woke up, because Amari liked to move a lot at night. in the belly, so it was pretty hard for me at the towards the end of my pregnancy to really get decent amount of sleep. And it's just, you know, when you're just so big like that, it's hard to really get comfortable and, you know, move around and stuff. You gotta constantly wake up to go pee because they're just sitting right on your bladder. It's just fun, fantastic things that happen during pregnancy, towards the end of pregnancy. So I woke up at 11 a.m. and I had severe cramps, but it wasn't like to the point where I couldn't handle them. Like, see, but me, at the same time, it all depends on the person's pain tolerance. I have a pretty decent pain tolerance. So for me, it was bearable. Like, I went about my day literally like if it was just Braxton Hicks, like I said. That's what I convinced myself that it was, that I was experiencing. Because as well, they were so far apart, like the contractions were so far apart, so I'm like, this is definitely Braxton Hicks. There's no way that this is actual contractions, like labor contractions. So, you know, my mom was coming from Pennsylvania, and she got to, you know, my grandma's house and all that, and we packed Amari's. He was born, you know, a Labor Day weekend. So we packed Amari's diaper bag, packed my hospital bag, you know, went about my day. I ate, still feeling cramps here and there. Then I really wanted to get my eyebrows done because at the time I looked like a gremlin, and I had like 2 months that I didn't do my eyebrows. So me and my mom went and did our eyebrows. Next to the eyebrow place there was a Rainbow. We went into Rainbow, bought me a couple of, you know, cute little things at Rainbow. Then there was a baby store right next to the Rainbow, so I went into the baby store, got stuff for Amari. Mind you though, I want to say every hour I was like clenching over, like, oh, okay, that was a bit intense. Oh, we're getting down? Okay, baby. So I was like clenching over, like, ugh. Okay, that was a bit harder than the previous one, but we're just gonna troop it, you know. So they do say as well, when you're getting closer to your due date and all that stuff, that it's good for you to walk. And it's true, yo. Like, I'm serious, guys. Walk, exercise. If you got a medicine yoga ball, use your medicine yoga ball. You know, do all of that because it's gonna help you. It's gonna help you dilate. It's going to help you in birth in general. So after we did a little bit of shopping and all that stuff, it was getting a bit dark out, so we headed home. And sorry guys, we headed home, and my cousin had just gotten out of work, so she came over, and you know, we were always hanging out and stuff, so it wasn't anything out of the norm. But she came over and we were just talking and stuff, and she literally was like, I call it, you're gonna have the baby before Tuesday. I'm like, ain't no way I'm having this baby before Tuesday. At that point it was a Saturday. So I'm like, ain't no way I'm having this baby before Tuesday. Like, stop playing with me. Like, stop playing with me. Whole time, you know, still feeling pains, clenching over. But at that point they were still tolerable. This was around 8:30ish at night. So my cousin's braiding my hair, and you know, around 10 o'clock she leaves, and you know, me and my mom, we stay in the living room and we're just chilling and stuff, you know. And I want to say an hour goes by and I start feeling like very, very intense cramps. Like, now it's starting to get unbearable. And my mom, she's just like, there's something wrong. She's like, this is not, like, you're not supposed to be in this much pain. And I kept wanting to go to the bathroom, to where I now know that me wanting to keep going to the bathroom, that was actually my water breaking, because I didn't have the dramatic, like in the movies, water, like my water rupture. My water just trickled, and I was not understanding why I wanted to keep going to the bathroom. I was just like, oh my god, I just gotta pee. I gotta pee. So I went to the bathroom a couple times, and by 12 o'clock midnight, my cramps were too intense, and by that time I was in the 511. I'm gonna explain what the 511 is right now, y'all. Take notes, baby girl, take notes. The 511 is when your contractions are 5 minutes apart. They last for 1 minute for 1 entire hour. So you know you are in active labor when you are in the 511. So I pulled out my trusty old Baby Center app. Let me show y'all what it looks like, because this is the app. This is the app that I used my whole pregnancy. Oh wow, you couldn't really see it, but as you can see down there, there is a contraction timer, and if I click on it, my contractions from the day that I was in labor are still here. So as you can see, my contractions were 3 minutes apart, 4 minutes apart, 5 minutes apart, 4 minutes apart, 3 minutes apart, and they were lasting 58 seconds, 48 seconds, 1 minute. So at that point, I couldn't deal with it anymore. My mom decided that she was going to call the ambulance because I really couldn't even talk, because they just come so back to back. Like, you don't really get a break once you are in like active labor. So my mom decides to call the ambulance, and my poor mother, she's not really fluent in English, so she had no idea how to really explain what was going on. So I had to kind of put on my big girl pants and just speak through the pain and let them know I am in active labor, come and get me and take my ass to the hospital, basically. So I didn't say it in that form, but they do ask you the questions, and I told them that I timed my contractions and I am, from what it seems, I am in active labor. So they came and got me, and I got to the hospital around 1:40 in the morning, and they directly take you into triage, which is where you go and, you know, the little holding room, not a room, but like, I don't know how it is anywhere else, but in New York it's just like a whole bunch of beds, but they have curtains splitting them, and you know, your doctor comes in and they examine you. So for me, my midwife was there, and she came in and was just like, you know, hey, how are you? I'm in pain. She's like, I see clearly. She's like, we're gonna go ahead and check your cervix to make sure to see how dilated you are, how far along you are. Because another thing is, guys, you could be in labor, like you could be having contractions, but they will not admit you until you are at least 4 centimeters dilated. That's when they consider someone to be in active labor. So when she checked my cervix, I was 5 centimeters dilated, and she said, yep, we're gonna have to keep you, you're gonna give birth today. So I was like, oh my god, like this is like all hitting me at the same time. I'm feeling pain, and reality is just sinking in. Like, I need to really toughen up, you know, this is not the time to panic. Like, I need to be strong for me, for my baby, and be able to do this. But whole time in my mind, I'm like, I'm getting that epidural. As soon as I get the hell out of here, I'm getting that epidural. So, you know, it was during COVID, so they came in. After they check your cervix, they can make you put on the little gown. They come in, they take some blood work, and they also do the COVID test. So I was in triage for about 45 minutes, just having different doctors come in, making you sign stuff. You know, make sure y'all read all y'all documents too, by the way. You know, because even though you're under distress and all that stuff, read y'all documents, because these people like getting over. You already know what I'm saying. Y'all know what I'm saying without me having to say it. When I say these people like getting over. period. But basically, yeah, so I was in triage for about 45 minutes. I went up to labor and delivery, and it was intense. So I was really begging for my epidural, but they couldn't give me the epidural until my COVID test came back, and also my blood work. So they put me on an IV, obviously, so you don't dehydrate because you can't drink or eat anything. They put you on an IV, and basically I did the majority of the rest of my labor on my knees because I was in so much pain, and swaying back and forth on my knees was really helpful. It was still painful, but it was easing the pain. It was easing the pain, and it was helping. So I was going to push Amari on my knees, but I was not making any progress, so that sucked because I didn't want to give birth on my back, because that is not the appropriate way that a woman is supposed to give birth. We're actually, if anything, supposed to squat, but the knees were a bit closer to what actual birth is supposed to be like than, you know, than on my back. So I did the rest of my labor swaying back and forth on my knees, begging for my epidural. But by the time that my results came back for my COVID test and my blood work, I was already 8 centimeters dilated, and it was already too late for me to have the epidural. So my midwife took a good look at me and said, Mabel, you're gonna have to do this naturally. And I started screaming. I was like, I cannot do this. Like, I can't do this. Like, I can't deal with the pain. And she just looked at me and she was like, Mabel, you got this. You will do this. I see women do this every day. You will do it. And I just had to, again, really take a good look at myself and be like, yo, like, suck it the fuck up and just do this, you know, because this is what we're made for. This is what we're made for. Women are made to bring life into this world. There was no epidural back in the day. My grandmother didn't give birth with no epidural. My great grandmother had 16 children. She had 16 children with no epidural. I'm like, Mabel, if my great grandma could do this, my ancestors all did this. I could do this shit. I don't need no medicine. So I really had to give myself that pep talk and realize, like, yo, like, we're made for this. Like, our bodies are made for this. So as painful and as scary as it was, I just went ahead and, like, I did what I had to do, you know. So I was just like, all right. So your body naturally does tell you when you need to push. Like, when I was pregnant, I did not understand what that meant. Like, I didn't understand what people meant when they said, like, you'll know when you need to push. Like, your body literally pushes for you. So at that point, when I started feeling that, I was like yelling to my midwife, I gotta push. And she was just like, okay, so push, go ahead. She's like, you could push just like that. And at that point, I was still on my knees. Now, I want to say I was pushing on my knees for about half hour, and I was not making any progress. It was just a whole bunch of fluids and stuff coming out. It wasn't really anything to where, like, I felt Amari crowning or any of that. So unfortunately, I had to lay on my back and do it that way. I am really grateful that I didn't have any artificial lighting in the room, except for the one light that they have just to see everything going on. My midwife was very much more a bit on the holistic side, which I do appreciate. There was not really much artificial lighting at my birth. The lights were off except for the one light, so they could see what was going on. And it wasn't a fluorescent light, it was a like a sun tone. I don't know how to explain it, so don't come for me, y'all, but like, it was a dimmed light to where, like, you know, it mimicked the sun in a way. Obviously we were indoors, so we can't have the sun in there type shit, you know, and it was nighttime, so we didn't have the actual sun outside. But it was an experience. Pushing on my back, when I got on my back, I pushed for about 15 minutes. So Once I felt the crowning, I was just like, this is intense. Like, it's really crazy. It's, they call it the ring of fire, and that's when you know that the head is right there. So I pushed for 15 minutes. I want to say I pushed a good 5 good times, and then Mari just came right out, and he was born at 5:12 in the morning. He weighed 6 pounds and 14 ounces. Look at him, a little 6 pounds and 14 ounces little brat. And it was amazing. Like, literally right after I pushed him out, it was like I didn't just go through everything that I went through for 19 hours. It was just like I felt no pain in the world. It was amazing. It was the greatest day of my life. I would relive that moment over and over and over again just to have this blessing, you know. It's really an incredible experience. I would definitely go the natural route with the rest of my children. I do not want any medication. I'm so happy that in a way the universe was like, no, like, you're gonna do this without any medication, you're gonna do this naturally, because it just made me feel that much stronger as a woman. It just made me appreciate my body that much more, that I just felt like Superwoman at that point, because I'm like, yo, like, I did that. I felt absolutely everything the way that it's supposed to and meant to be. So I'm really grateful for that experience. I'm grateful for my midwife and just my whole experience in general. Pregnancy is really something that is scary, but you will cherish every single moment that you are carrying your child. It's just amazing what the female body can do, what us women are meant to be, like what we're meant to do, and how our bodies just form themselves to carry and nurture our children. I'm not gonna cry, but basically, yeah, that was an amazing experience. And I was able to actually go home 3 days later, because since I was severely anemic, my iron levels were very low, and they were afraid that I would need to have a blood transfusion. So they kept me, and they actually had to put a pint, I believe, of iron into my veins so that I could sustain. And we were able to go home, and it was just, ever since then, it's just been amazing. It's been a challenge, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Like, if you guys are going into, if any of you are going into parenthood or motherhood and thinking that it's gonna be a walk in the park, it's not. It's an everyday battle. It's an everyday challenge. Some days you feel like you're doing and succeeding in every form of motherhood, and then you have weeks where you feel like you're failing, and you feel like you're not doing enough. You feel like you're so exhausted, but at the same time you feel guilty complaining. You feel like you can't complain. You feel like you're misunderstood, you know. I actually went through a brief moment of having very bad postpartum depression, which I can make a full video just on that as well if you guys are interested in knowing more about postpartum depression, and how I was able to defeat it and overcome it. But there's a lot of things as well that come with, you know, they call it the 4th trimester, you know, after you have the baby. It's a lot, but, you know, there's nothing more rewarding than being a parent, as cliche as that sounds. It is rewarding because you have a little piece of you and a little piece of the person that you love, and you guys created this being that's amazing and is going to look up to you forever and is going to love you forever regardless, like unconditional. like, this is my unconditional, and he is what I look at to so that I can keep going. So yeah, that's about it. I think I mentioned everything. So like I said, if you guys have any questions, if you guys want a separate video just on pregnancy and a separate video on postpartum depression, leave it down in the comments. Let me know. Make sure that you follow our socials and you watch our other videos. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I'm going to be inserting pictures and videos, obviously, so grab a snack for this video. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.